Hello YouTubers, and welcome to my first ever full review of a motorbike, namely my own, the G650GS. I've had this little guy for about a year now, well, pretty exactly a year if I remember right, and well, it's been an interesting companion so far. It has weird looks, gotta give it that. Yep. It looks at you all crooked. Anyways, I want to make this not about style, not about technical data. You can get all that online with BMW Motorrad. What I want to talk about is how this bike has been for me so far, for using it in a daily commuter, using it as a weekend ride, using it as just about anything. So a few words about the suspension and the general layout of the bike. This is a small enduro, or as BMW correctly call it, a funduro, because it's got more or less street tires, well, a bit knobblier, but yes, and it's got enormous suspension travel. You can run over speed bumps at full speed with this and you'll be having fun, which the cops of course don't like, but you certainly will. You can only adjust the rear preload with this hand wheel, by the way, from Sachs, very nice. I've hardly ever used it because I don't ride 2-up, can't yet, still on learner's permit. But as soon as I got that, maybe I will, who knows. And, well, it's been a mixed story. I bought this as a second-hand from a driving instructor school thing, as a leasing return, and I thought, well, if they're a driver school, they're probably gonna take good care of it. Meh. Nope. It had, after just 15,000 kilometers, a completely worn through chain. The rear brake and brake pads had to be replaced completely, as well as the front brake pads. And on top of that, of course, the regular service. Well, that was pretty fucking expensive at 1,600-ish francs, so way too much for a starter bike. And that's not just because it's BMW, probably partly, but mainly because it's just way too much in one time. So anyways, it's been rather reliable, other than the battery cutting out at one time because the leads came undone. I fixed that with a few screws. And, whoa, what else? Yeah, I've modified a few bits on this. It's all original BMW stuff on here. We've got hand guards, pretty nice when the weather gets really cold here in Switzerland. And they're original BMW, so they fit perfectly. I fitted a motor fender. So if I ever tip it over or run into a too large bump, that'll soak it up nicely. And also the protection pan underneath. All original BMW stuff, of course. The bike did come with a rear stand, well, the main stand. And it also came with heated grips, as you can see by the cable down here, both ends. It actually has two levels. As you can see here, you'll only ever need this one. The other one is for, like, I don't know, Antarctica? Or to fry your fingers off anyhow. So yeah, it's been quite a nice bike, especially in colder weather, and I have been using it all year round, and I can say heated grips, oh yes. If you can, take them. If you don't have them, they can easily be retrofitted onto just about any bike. So yeah, go get that. Well, a few of you guys will have probably seen this matte flat black paint scheme that I've got going on here. This is not the 2013-14 model. This is the 2011 model. And back then black didn't exist. So what I did here, paint job. Yep, did that myself. As you can probably see up front here, it's not perfect. This is actually an impact mark from insects that regularly hit the front fender or the windshield, or primarily hit me in the face when I have the visor open, of course. So yeah, Many of you might ask, hey, how good is this bike? How does it ride? Couple of points. One, the motor. It's a single cylinder 650. So one huge cylinder there. And that's the same motor as back in the F650 series. Pretty much anyways. They changed a few minor details, a few hoses around, but that's about it. So it's quite vibey, especially around 4,000 to 5,000 RPM. But other than that, it runs smooth. It has tons of power for such a little motor. And yeah, it's general pleasure to drive. The clutch is quite easy to pull. Even in congested traffic, this thing goes easy. So even for smaller hands, by the way, the levers are somewhat adjustable. So even for smaller hands, like the ladies, no problem there. What else? Oh yeah, a few things special about this bike. The tank's at the back. It's not under here. Nope, that's the airbox, or actually right under here, battery compartment. Nope, tank's at the back. So that gives it a rather low center of gravity. It's easy to refuel, and actually you can do it from the wrong side of the fueling station if you really want to. Because really the hose will just fit over the seat. It has sort of a dual exhaust. Sort of, meaning it looks like one, but it's not. You can probably see the black side. That's where the actual stuff comes out. The left one's just an actual muffler. The gases go through there, then pass underneath to the other and come out on the other side. It's pretty quiet when you drive it at reasonable speeds through town, but once you open it up, especially when it needs to give some power up a slope or anything, it can get quite noisy, or it can develop that characteristic one-cylinder sound. One other thing I added, instead of a fixed top case, I went with something in between that BMW's got here. It's sort of a soft, baggy thing. This has enough space for one full helmet. My flip-up helmet even goes in here. It's got tons of little pockets for, say, a Leatherman tool, or maybe a disc lock, a chain, whatever you need to get along with you. And it can pretty much pack an entire lunch and dinner if you need to go shopping. So that's plenty. Unfortunately, it does think it has a little compartment. This thing back here. But that's about the size of a fist. So you'll barely get some spare bulbs in there. It's not really useful. It's pretty much just a hatch to get to the lever, to get the seat undone and open it up. And it doesn't have any other compartments, like for example the NC750 or 700. They have a nice compartment here. I don't. I have a battery and an airbox there. And oil. This thing is dry sump, meaning it pumps all the oil up through these large tubes down there, up into the oil tank and back down. And it actually has an oil intercooler next to here. Yeah, you can probably see that. And it's water cooled. Yep, the water cooler is down there. So suddenly when you're in heavy traffic or slow and it doesn't get enough air, you'll hear the fan go on. But due to that, it can't really ever overheat. Perfect. So it's also good for city traffic. Yes, definitely. Although the first gear is very lively and you need to use the clutch a lot if you want to do that. How is it in all other situations? Perfect, I would say. It has enough power to overtake just about anything short of a Porsche or an M3 on the Autobahn. So down there, where we might go later to test it. And inner city traffic, you've got more than enough boom to go everywhere. Also, ABS. Very important in Switzerland. Lots of rain, snow, ice, everything. So you'll need that ABS, especially on the back brake. And it really works well. I was really surprised a few times when it started to kick in. You feel it on the levers, you feel it on the pedal, but it works wonders. So if you get a new bike, do get one with ABS. No questions asked. Even Harley now has them on the small models, so go for that. So, a few words about the instrumentation. As you can see, large analog speedo, and the rev counter is just this tiny little thing that goes up and down here, so you'll have a hard time reading that. It has 2 trips plus the total. It's got a time, of course, but that's it. I'll turn it on again so you can see which lights it has. Nice display it does there. The red dot up here is, by the way, the rev limiter. Once it hits the 7,500 up here, that goes on, starts blinking like crazy. The yellow you see blinking over here, that's ABS because it's not initialized yet. It needs to initialize for a few meters once you roll off. And all the others, of course, neutral. You're out of fuel, you're blinking, your temperature's too high, and you've got the high beams. High beams? High beams! Oh yes, important point. These bikes come with crappy bulbs in there. That's not stock, gentlemen and ladies. That's an upgraded Philips plus 100% light output bulb. The stock BMW bulb is for shits. Seriously, get a better one. It's easy to change, the manual explains it. It's all right under here. You can lift this part off and then you have a wonderful bright light. Don't just use the stock one, don't just use the high beams, because that's, I think, illegal. I don't know. Anyways, get a decent bulb in there. You'll be much happier afterwards. Indicator lights, standard bulb type. You can also replace these with BMW approved LEDs as an upgrade, I think. BMW suddenly understood, hey, people customize their bikes, let's give them something. Yep, they do. So yeah, that's about it about the bike up close. That concludes the up close review. I will now go and test drive it for you guys, and I'll put in a commentary later because my camera that I've mounted to my helmet doesn't yet have a microphone attached to it, so I'll simply put in some comments to this video later. Well, some actual audio comments, and of course I'll link to the description of the bike down there in the YouTube video comments as well. Thank you very much and see you on the road.